Today I'm going to talk about the huge difference between the twin flame chaser and the runner when it comes to trust and why the relationship cannot work. And at the end of the video, I'm also going to share with you how you can make it work as well. So the twin flame chaser and the runner are going to be two opposites. And they are opposites on the body level, which means that they are opposites on the feelings and emotions level. This is the attachment level. In the brain, it's represented in the limbic system, or we can say that it's the emotional part of the brain. And when we get connected to these type of people, we actually start to relive our childhood wounds because the trauma is stored in the body. And the trauma really means is that what you have experienced as a child and how you've seen it from the head, there is a huge disintegration in the between. And it doesn't mean that you didn't experience trauma. The problem is that you didn't store the trauma in a realistic way, which means that when you are a little child, first of all, you don't have the ability to see it realistically because your critical filter is going to be only available for you around the age 8, 9. This is coming from neuro-linguistic programming. And exactly for this reason, you take everything very, very seriously, very, very deeply. So an example would be that your opposite gender parent is not around you. So you make the obvious decision or obvious explanation that there is something wrong with you. Because if you were good enough, that person would be with you. And this is where the trauma is. So it's a double trauma, that you feel traumatized because you didn't receive the love you believe you deserved. But also the trauma is that you don't see the other person's perspective, that maybe the person was emotionally unavailable at the first place, or maybe you had an alcoholic father or a very, very strict mother, or something like that. Or maybe your parents had to work really, really hard because they didn't have enough money. It's not because they didn't love you, it's because there was something that was outside of them. And this is what you too, and all of us, re-experience when you meet each other. You recreate the exact same wound, the exact same trauma. And this wound created two opposite personalities. A chaser who is more connected to the emotions and the individuals and prioritizes the feelings, the emotions, prioritizes the relationship because they didn't register on the head the betrayal. And this is where their control is coming from. That I keep trying to satisfy you, I keep trying to do everything for you because I cannot bear the idea that I am unlovable. So this is where the control is, because if you have betrayed me, if I would see you as someone who has betrayed me, it means that I am not lovable. And this is this internal unconscious. This is an unconscious thing that is happening in you, which means that you haven't connected to this betrayal part where you would stop yourself doing it. And your opposite, the runner, has got there. That's why you are connected to the body. You are trying to solve it from the body, but the runner has already made the decision at a very, very early age that it doesn't worth to feel, it doesn't worth to try to engage with the opposite gender parent because you get hurt, you get betrayed, and that's how you get this oppositeness. And in reality, the problem is that you are both wrong. And it doesn't mean that you are completely wrong, When you were a child, you made a decision based on the awareness level, based on the knowledge, based on the information, based on your maturity that was given for you. But now as an adult, first of all, you have access to a higher consciousness because you have the primate level. You can watch YouTube videos, you can learn, you can educate yourself. And basically you can retrain yourself. So what this relationship can really teach you is to retrain this brokenness, because from the very beginning when you were a child, you were in an unfair position. You didn't have a full capacity in your brain, because in reality it takes nearly 25 years to actually get to a fully developed brain. But by that time, the damage is done. And this is where the huge difference is, that you, the chaser, cannot stop trusting because you are disconnected from this impulse control. This is the prefrontal cortex. And you are an individual, more focused on the individual experiences. That is your internal being, how you feel at that exact moment. And you really prioritize people who can make you really different, who can trigger chemistry within you. And in reality, you don't see this, but the reason you trust the other person, because you trust your individual senses. You trust that deep emotion, that if that person makes me feel so different, then there has to be something in it. I have to follow my instinct. So basically, you are actually very connected to this back of the body nervous system that represents the individual part of the nervous system. That you are connected to this individual part really much. And you are an individual, your emotions are individual, every relationship in your sense is individual. So you are going to trust the other individual as well. And your opposite, your twin flame, really shows what is missing from you, what is underdeveloped within you. And they are going to be connected to the social part of the vagus nerve. So not only the awareness system in the head, the prefrontal cortex that represses the emotions, but also the social part. And the social part is going to really focus on the rules, the large numbers, what is the most probable. And they are not going to follow you, the individual, and they are not even going to follow themselves, their individual things. They are always going to go back, first of all, their first negative experience, that love hurts. And secondly, this is what they are going to focus on predominantly. They are going to look for signs in reality. How much the percentage that people, for example, get divorced? How many people are unhappy in their marriage? And also, even when they let this guard down, because there are two types of twin flame runners. I talk about it in my other videos. One of them is going to be more mixed with the chaser. That's going to be a fearful, avoidant attachment type. That is a mixture of the chaser and the runner, and it's also called a disorganized attachment type. So this type of a person, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, can switch back and forth and can look, I would say, a little bit confusing. And even their trust shifts. Can I trust this person? Can I not trust this person? But there's another type of runner that is the detached avoidant, that is more stable, and they trust themselves, trust their gut instinct, and they never really able to let their guard down. They are not as confusing. They are more rigid in themselves. And back to this mixed type of runner, who is the fearful avoidant. They have more of these, I would say, like orthodox beliefs that if a lot of people, this is how they see objectivity, that if a lot of people agrees in the same thing, that must be true. So the individual is stupid, basically. But that really represents where they are in the mind. Do they follow the social norm or do they follow the individual? So this is the analytical mind and the emotional mind. And the runner, again, this is where they are the opposite, that they allow the individual into their heart more. So they are more connected to this emotional brain and they are less connected to this analytical part of the brain. And the healthy would be, again, that you have a healthy balance in these two, so these can communicate, and also you have a healthy balance between the body and mind to body, so these can be relatively healthy. So what that means is that you have an open heart and an open mind. So the open mind means that you try to understand the other person, because you are opposites. On the body, it means that you are opposites, or how you behave as well, how you react, especially when there is a huge issue. The chaser is more likely to go towards a partner, tries to resolve the problem, comes across as a controlling, angry person. And runner is going to come across as someone who is disengaged, someone who is disinterested, someone who ghosts you, who disappears and only wants to be around when everything is calm, when things are just happy. And they come across as people who cannot trust you. This is the runner. But in reality, the reason they don't trust you because they don't trust themselves. These are phobic people who even don't trust their own feelings, their own individual part, because either this is what have been taught for them from an early age, that you should follow the rules, or maybe there was something that happened to them later on. Maybe they had such a huge hurt, for example, with their very, very first girlfriend or boyfriend, that it really scared them. And it changed them. And they made this decision that I cannot be trusted. Maybe they got to a stage that they nearly committed suicide. And they said, okay, I give it up. And I can't follow my heart. I can't listen to myself. I'm going to do what most people do. Because if most people do that, that must be right. So in reality, it looks like they don't trust you and they go away from you. But they don't trust this internal part that's in them because they are scared of that part of them. That's why they go away so easily. And again, in reality, to heal, because it's not that one of you heals and it's everything going to be fine. It's like you both must heal if you want to stay together. But you can't force your partner to recognize that there is something wrong with them. You can say that, okay, this is what I feel as wrong, or you make me feel like this, I would like that. So you express your concern, you express what you would like in order to have a healthy relationship. But you also have to understand that your partner has a free will. And if the partner cannot see that there is something wrong, they are happy with them, they believe that they are perfect as they are, no amount of talking is going to help. Anything you say is going to come across as abuse. You want to devalue them, you want to hurt them, and they will think that if you are so unhappy with me, why the fuck you are still with me? Get off. So what that means is that you have to start to focus predominantly on your own self-awareness, on your own self-development. And I'm saying this because what I see as a huge issue is that many people believe that a twin flame connection is a match made in heaven, and it means that I am already perfect, the partner is already perfect, my main goal is to find this perfect partner and we are going to have a perfect relationship. But in reality, twin flames are meant to wake you up. And what that means is that you actually get re-triggered and you have an opportunity to see the same scenario now as an adult, and you make a different decision. And many times The awakening and the self-love is that you have the ability to move away, because when you were a child, you didn't have that option. You couldn't say at the age 3 or 4 that, for example, I'm good at, look, dad, you are a fucking piece of alcoholic shit who is never around. You are an aggressive bastard. I'm going to leave you, or get the fuck out of my life because you are a toxic human piece of shit. And by the way, this is probably the nicest way to say it, how I feel about my father. But of course, when you are a child, you can't do that, first of all, because you can't go against the stronger person. And secondly, you don't even have the awareness to see that your parent is abusive with you. And now when I grow up, I'm just like, I can't care. But just because you don't care, it doesn't mean that you won't get re-triggered. You are going to relive the same trauma, the same wound. But this time, you can really heal yourself. And another big difference, and this is how I'm going to close this video, is that there is a hierarchy in both of you, in the twin flame chaser and the twin flame runner as well. And I want to put the hierarchy in between the type of runner that is mixed with the chaser, because that type of a runner who is very, very rigid, that's the detached avoidant, focuses on themselves the most to protect themselves. It can be with money, don't really open up, and always feel safe. And these two that are more of a mixed bag, the chaser has a hierarchy, but the hierarchy goes like this. It goes down. This is how the individual is created. Out of all of these people, the one that makes me feel the most alive, the one that makes me feel the most triggered, in a sense, that the most chemistry, that's on the top of the hierarchy. That's the one I want to be with. And this is where your problem is, that you actually exclude a lot of people. And the only person who can be this person who is your own opposite, basically who is the most far away from you. So the probability that the relationship is going to be abusive, it's really, really high. So what you can do is you have to realize that everything is on a spectrum. So when you start your self-development, you are going to be closer to a healthy person. That is, I would say, like the combination of the two and integrated. So your opposite is not going to be someone who is on the unhealthy range. It's going to be someone who is closer to this healthy one. That's why it's so important to work on yourself, because you can retrain your nervous system if you change that, if you change the communication in between. That is your frequency, because everyone talks about the soul frequency. Your frequency is the neurocommunication within you. And that is created in a way that there is an impulse coming up from the back of the body. Your head is going to decide what that impulse is, and it sends down a signal to the front, and this is how you feel. And this is what your nervous system is trying to fix. And this is going to be exactly the same for the runner as well. That if you are so afraid of the other person, you have to first of all learn about other people, and secondly, try to trust yourself, because you also follow a hierarchy, but the hierarchy is opposite. It goes up because you are on the front, and the social part goes into who is on the top in the hierarchy. This one goes for the individual, but this one goes for the which is the thing that most people follow. Which person is on the top of the hierarchy, or at least someone. It doesn't have to be like the top of the hierarchy in the whole world, but like in the in a village or something, or maybe an organization, and you really want to actually hang around with those people, because this is what you follow, because this is the proof for you that the most envied, the most admired, the most followed person must be correct, must be the most objective decision because so many people follow it. And this is where your self-awareness is. That just because everyone says the same, it doesn't mean it's true. And I'm going to give you an example. Hitler and Germany. So many people believed in the same thing. Was it true? No. And this is something that you have to also keep, I would say, in mind, that maybe something that is good for so many people wouldn't be good for you. So you have to find the rules in life. You have to find the very things, the very people that match you. And maybe the very thing that would fit the most wouldn't match you. And this is just how reality works. And your own internal feelings, your emotions can help you to guide you back to yourself so you can learn again. You can relearn, retrain your body-mind, mind-to-body connection. I hope this video was helpful for you and see you in my next video.